All right, welcome to the Spoiler Kings. My name is St. Kramer, Brandon, Brian the Grizzly, and we are going to review Mufasa, the Lion King, the prequel to the live action, quote unquote, from 2019, I believe. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so we get most of the old school cast back, plus Barry Jenkins directing. I know Aaron Pierre is Mufasa, and I can't remember who was Scar.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah, who played the younger Scar, Taka. Well, that Scar's real name, Taka. But we're gonna get to our review, our ratings, or whether we give it a now, later, never. Talk about some of our likes, our dislikes, and all that stuff. Before we get into that, Brian, you got a breakdown of what this one is about.
I sure do. Lost and alone, orphan cub Mufasa meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion an expansive journey of an extraordinary group of misfits searching for their destinies.
Very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we'll start with Brandman. What are some things you liked about Mufasa?
In comparison to the first one, the CG was an improvement. I think the animals were a little more expressive this time, so I didn't really feel like I was watching a Discovery Channel documentary this time. I guess directing wise, it was competently directed. I think the framing device worked with how it was told, in flashback, and how they periodically went switch between present day and then the past. I thought that worked. Pretty good showcase of vocal talent by Aaron Pierre in particular. I think I give it points for as far as these live action, even though I don't really feel comfortable calling it a live action remake because it's just better
fancy,
better animation.
Yeah, it's
but
fancy animation.
It at least attempted something new in comparison to some of the other like word for word remakes, and I think that was mostly it for me. Those are the things that worked for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Brian? What you like about it?
The music, the casting. Like, I like the people that did it. I think they acted well. I think it was directed well. So I don't think that was the issue at all with the movie. So I think they did competent job with all of it for what they had. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then for me, I would say the all the voice actors I thought did a pretty good job. Most of them. At least the main characters, I would say. Aaron Pierre and Calvin Harrison Jr. was Scar.
Calvin Harrison Jr. Yeah.
Scar. So that was your two main guys. So they did a good job, whether it be with the singing and just voice acting in general. That was good. It looked cool, which going off what Brandman said, with them having more emotion this time around, more that facial kind of just emotion was what I wanted, and we got it. Still wasn't like fully animated like the cartoon, but way more than what that 2019 live action one was. And then the kind of the technical stuff, like it looked really cool. Like it looked like they were there in Africa. Like it was like crazy, like how gorgeous everything was. And everything was CGI. Whether it be the animals, the area, everything. This is like all CGI. So and it looked really, really cool. A little too real, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But for the most part, it looked really, really amazing. Like visually amazing. But yeah. That's pretty much all I have for the good right there. So we'll jump right into the negatives because I think there's a lot more negatives we have with this. Brandman, what didn't you like about Mufasa?
This was a very, and this seems to be a trend this year with a lot of franchises and IPs. This was just a very unnecessary movie. It didn't need to be made. It was even more unnecessary than the unnecessary remake. It didn't have a distinct directorial feel to it. And I think we even talked about this beforehand, but I kind of feel like it betrayed some of the previous lore. I've been under the impression that Mufasa came from royalty. And at least his father was a king. And this just really kind of contradicted that. We were previously, if I remember correctly, even in the remake, even though I've really only watched it all the way through once or twice, but I think they even mentioned that in the remake, or alluded to his father being a king. So I think it kind of contradicted that. And I thought I thought it really tried to like coast on the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music. I think it kind of used that as a crutch in terms of trying to sell the movie. And I thought the music was kind of hit or miss. This time there was some stuff that really worked for me music wise, and then other stuff that just didn't. But really, it just kind of committed the cardinal sin of being very unnecessary and not having a voice. It felt very studio manufactured, which I think was probably the worst crime that it committed.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I didn't even think about, like, that's exactly how it feels. Okay. Anything else?
That's it on my end. I don't want to try to steal any. I don't want to steal
There's
anything
more, right?
that you guys may have to say. So I'll cut it there.
Okay. What about you, Brian?
See,
unroll the notepad.
I had a couple of issues, just a couple. First of all, I thought that this could have been a cool movie if you were stuck to the lore. This is a perfect example of not understanding the lore that you created yourself. You told us what this is about. I think I messaged everybody. I said, Mufasa looks at Simba. Simba says to Mufasa, "Hey, Dad, we're pals, right? Right." And he says, "We're always going to be together, right?" And he says, "Simba, let me tell you something that my father once told me. Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from these stars. So whenever you're alone, you can look to the stars for guidance, and look for them, and you also me too." So saying that when kings die, they go to these stars, insinuating that his father was a king, right? Insinuating that he's coming from a long lineage of kings. It's the prodigal son. That's what the story of Lion King is. Going back and then being afraid to step into your father's footsteps, right? And realizing that you're that man now. You can do that. Like, it's leaving and coming back. That's what the whole point is. We lost that by saying he was born from a commoner. It didn't even make sense because his name's Mufasa, which means king. And then Taka, the one who's from lineage that's going to be king, was like garbage. So it makes no sense at all. Okay, so that really in itself bothered me. Like, you didn't understand the movie the way it's supposed to be. Understand what the story was about. And I thought that was the same thing that Lion King 1 did, but at least they understood what Mufasa was. And you just try to remake it, so they didn't have a story, so they just try to remake the lore. That makes no sense. And that bothered me to no end. I think the script was just soulless because it didn't have the soul. The soul is that key. the understanding that he's always been a king, he's always been this presence, you missed it. Him being, it's not okay. It's okay to be unsure of yourself, but to not think you are worth and then pretend like you have that with your son. You could have said, I've had the same problem if that was the way you were going to go.
Yeah.
But instead, you were trying to say, like, no, let me show you how to do it. This is what I've always been. I hate that idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, and then showing how Taka or Scar saved Mufasa's life all those times, right? just if you me just about the movie, he saved his life. And if your brother tells you, I don't care if one you guys, we were hanging out, one you guys say, I like this girl, no matter what my connection with that girl was, there will be no more connection with that girl.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really my brother, right? I would totally give it up. Not even a question. I'm no longer even looking at you like that. And she came to me that way. I will say, hey, no, you're going to be with him, or you that's your choice, but I'm out of it because that's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it just showed like poor qualities within with who Mufasa was the entire time. He saved your life, and you can't go away from her. Like I hated the idea that he was doing that. He showed that he didn't have any of the skills that he showed, or any of the goals, or any of those great character things about him that we saw from the first movie. Think about when you hear Mufasa, all of that was just gone, and it stripped it of him. And I did not like it. I didn't like it at all. And I don't want to say like the movie wasn't done well. The movie was done well. I just don't think the movie understood what it was supposed to be about and lost its soul.
Yeah, the story was bad. The story was bad.
So
yeah. Okay.
Still, man.
Anything else? Yeah. You know, and I agree with both of the Brandman and Brian. It's just, you know, whether it be unnecessary, bad story. Oh my god, because I watched this and I didn't see it with my girlfriend. You know, couldn't see it together. So I told her about it, and she's like, "I'm so glad I didn't see this," because it was just like you ruined who this character was, you know. And for me, my biggest letdown was Barry Jenkins, the director. He directed Moonlight, amazing movie. He directed If Beale Street Could Talk, another amazing movie. So I'm like, this guy knows how to tell stories. He knows how to do emotional, impactful stories. And for it being so tropey and so hollow and so like it doesn't take itself like serious. It's like, oh well, we said this, but now we're gonna change it, you know, or we did this, but now we're gonna change it, you know, and everything was like, so you had no other way to connect all these characters besides like, oh, they're all orphans. I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
that's
and
stupid. So
you know, I know when Barry Jenkins was being interviewed about the movie and saying how near and dear the original Lion King was to him and how important a job this was to him. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself how genuine filmmakers are being, and you know, when they're just sucking up to the camera or reading something the studio told them to say, because that's, you know, it didn't have a voice of its own. It didn't really feel like a Barry Jenkins film. That's what I'm getting at when I say that it felt very studio manufactured. And Barry Jenkins was brought on to help kind of sell the movie. Like it essentially felt like he was just a hired gun.
The last thing I really thought was really bad was really the songs. I didn't like any of the songs. The Brothers was good, but you know, I went up listening to them on Spotify, and none of them really like hit. They were just kind of like,
yeah.
Blah.
I thought they were just, you know, just fine.
Yeah, I had no problem with them. They're fine.
Yeah,
I didn't care about the story, so it didn't matter if a song can't carry a story if I don't like the story.
Well, that too, but also I expect a level coming from Lin-Manuel, and this was by far some of his weakest stuff he's ever done. So we do a now, later, never rating system. Now means you go run, watch it right now. Later means you can wait till it's at home, and never means just skip it altogether. Start with Brandman. What you giving it?
I'll give this a never.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that from like a place of like of like I'm not even saying it from a place of hate or like even dislike this movie. I can't even in good conscience say that I disliked it because it was such a nothing of a movie that I don't even think it's worth disliking. But
Yeah.
it was just even more unneeded than its predecessor. And it just the best I can give it is that it stepped up its CG game in terms of making the animals more expressive. And it was a decent showcase of Aaron Pierre, who's up and coming. But it just none of this seemed worth it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. We got never from Brandman. Brian, what you giving it?
Come on. Now he said he's not saying it from a place of hate. I knew if they did this wrong, it was going to come from a place of hate because Lion King is my favorite movie ever. Like, there's nothing better. I got some Lion King sweatshirt right here. Like, at all times, this guy has something for Lion King. Yeah, I always have something there. I hated what they did. I didn't hate the movie as much as I hated what they did. It made me not even respect the movie. Because, if it was just an okay movie, I'll say later. I'm not even going there. I'm saying never because I don't think anyone needs to be getting confused about what the Lion King is. What made it special? What made the actual play amazing? What the story was? And they forgot. And no one needs to go see this. I'm sure it's going to make $700 million and all of us should ask for refunds.
Yeah. I was debating whether this, but as I was describing this movie and giving the rundown to my girlfriend, my hatred for it started coming out. And I'm like, oh, this is definitely a never. Because I'm pretty much telling my girlfriend, you don't want to watch it. And she's telling me, she goes, I'm glad I didn't watch this. So it's a never, man. It's just from the story, just everything was just kind of like blah, besides it looking very, very pretty, that was it, man. Everything was just so hollow. And Brandman said it perfectly. It felt like a manufactured studio kind of force sequel, So like, hey, the last one made $1 billion. We have to make something else, but let's not continue a story. Let's go back and ruin another character. So and it don't get, and I'm agreeing with Brian. They ruined the character of Mufasa. They really did. So and that's hard to do. It's hard to do. So yeah, definitely, it's a never. It's not good. Yeah, that's our thoughts, our review for Mufasa. Yeah, it just did not hit, man. This might be one of my least favorite movies of the year. Not the worst movie of the year, but definitely down there with it.
But what you said, least favorite, that was
least favorite.
perfect.
Yeah. But we want to hear from you guys. So if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think about Mufasa. How'd you like it? You hate it? Anything in between? Leave a comment. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us with this movie review. And if you are in the live chat right now, stick around because we're going to get into all of your guys' comments.